What up? Listen, guys, I'm here from the presidents of my own home. Presidents? You know what I mean. To bring you guys my current top 10 favorite UFC fighters. But before we get into today's video, I just wanted to give you guys a quick thank you for my last video, for all the love and support. I'm not going to lie. After I made that video a week later, I logged back into the account and I was fully expecting. I was like, hey, no fucking way. Nobody more than 15 people watched this video. So to see almost 1,000 viewers is actually fucking crazy. Also, I'm just going to give you guys a quick warning. If you're a grappling hardcore, you're going to be pretty disappointed by this list. I think I have like one grappler on this list. I like strikers, man. I'm sorry. I like entertaining UFC. I'm not saying grapplers aren't entertaining, but if you make it halfway through this list and you're like, wow, this guy doesn't even have Torrance Finney in his top 5. He's such a casual. Just leave, bro. Fucking kick rocks, dude. Anyways, not to give grappling fans such a hard time, but once I reveal my number 10, you guys might start to connect the dots on why I have a grudge against some grapplers, because coming in at number 10, it's been a hard year to be a Joaquin Buckley fan, brother. And look, unlike a lot of people out there, I'm not giving up on Joaquin Buckley yet. This dude was on a 6-fight win streak before getting absolutely blobbed by Kamaru Usman and blobbed by Sean Brady as well. God, that was such a hard watch, man. But I still do believe that he's a contender in the welterweight division. Does he beat Ian Gary, Carlos Prates? No, probably not. But I still think he makes a run for that top 5, one of those contender spots. He's one of the better strikers in the division. He beat the absolute snot out of Colby Covington, which in hindsight, how did Colby Covington not win that fight? Just goes to show how washed he was. And more importantly, man, he's entertaining. He's one of the most entertaining fighters in the welterweight division, in my opinion. Again, one of the better strikers. And when he's not getting pillow-fisted by Sean Brady, I think he's going to bring an entertaining fight. And I think his next matchup has to be somebody who's a striker. As soon as the Sean Brady matchup was made, I was scratching my head just because coming off the loss to Kamaru Usman, and, Sean Brady isn't as reputable as a grappler as Kamaru Usman, but it was just a bad on-paper matchup, and it was such a disappointing loss because it didn't look like he made any improvements whatsoever to his ground game, and that's mainly the reason it sounds like the obvious that he's not going to be a top contender in this division, because on the feet, I think, like I said, Carlos Prates sparks him. Ian Gary is better than him. Morales is better than him. But I think he gives other fighters in the welterweight division a run for their money. And we'll see what his next matchup is. But, New Mansa, we still believe in you. And coming in at number 9 is Max. We gonna find out Saturday night. Holloway. And how could you not be a fan of this guy? Not much has to be said on why Max Holloway's in my top 10. I think a majority of people would have him in his top 10. But it's just the entertainment factor. Every fight this dude is in is an absolute banger. Unless it's Charles Oliveira for some reason, because, the sport makes absolutely no fucking sense sometimes. As far as contender status, do I still think that there's a chance that he can win the lightweight belt? Yes, I do. Absolutely. Do I think he will? Probably not. The lightweight division is too stacked right now, and it's continuing to get better with Quinn Soutkill comes along, and who actually just missed my top 10. I'd probably have him at 11. But anyways, is he in his absolute prime? No. His chin's been tested, and one of my future videos, we'll talk about the Conor-Max matchup and why I think it's such an important fight, and I think Conor has a bigger chance than what people are giving him, especially after what we saw on the White House lawn. You just never fucking know with this sport. But Max, love you, brother. And coming in at number 8, striking fans, cover your eyes. I got Arman Sarukian. I know the 3 caucus fans that are still around right now and didn't leave during my intro are hype as fuck right now. And look, I know what you guys are thinking.
Jared, you said that you can't stand grapplers.
Okay, to a point, man. Armin Sarukian is entertaining as fuck, and I'm not going to let anybody else tell me different. He's probably one of, if not the best ground and pound artists in the sport right now. He's not going to take you down and just lay in half guard like some of these other grapplers. Comes out. And on top of that, his striking has significantly improved from his early UFC career. I mean, I know it's just Dan Hooker, but he pieced him up on the feet. Outstruck Dan Hooker. I mean, just look at these significant strike numbers, 10 to 42. And look, I know Dan Hooker is washed and not nearly as good as he used to be, but still, I just think that Armin is one of the better strikers in the lightweight division now, and he's certainly one of, if not the best, now that Islam's gone, grapplers in the lightweight division. And look, I understand that, it's his fault that the Islam fight didn't go through because he pulled out, and a lot of his other antics that are, outside of the cage, getting into brawls and scuffs and, not being nearly as active. And the activity, that's partly the UFC's fault because they don't want to give this dude a title shot. And look, I understand because of what he did outside the cage and his antics, but again, that's just another entertainment factor that I like watching that kind of stuff. I don't like watching boring press conferences and fighters that, they don't do anything. I like when fighters bring attention to sport. And Armin is probably one of, if not the biggest superstar in the sport right now because of his brand and what he did after pulling out of the Islam fight. Also, the dude's funny as fuck, man. Even if you don't like him and his antics and everything outside the cage or, think his style is a little boring, the dude's fucking funny. I mean, DMing Ilya immediately after he lost to Gaethje and saying as soon as Face ID starts working, change it to 17 and 1. Like, bro, the dude is just naturally funny. If you just watch any of his streams with any of the streamers he's made collabs with, he's just generally funny, and it just, like I said, it just brings that entertainment factor. And in my personal opinion, I think his style is fun to watch. So there it is, Armin Sarukian at number 8. And coming in at number 7, I got Joshua Van. Where are all you Tyra supporters right now, brother? Where are you at? Because I saw you on Twitter. Dude, Joshua Van is just such a fake champion, such a fluke. Just, unlucky Pantoja broke his arm because he would have finished. Dude, how are you feeling now? God, that was the most annoying narrative going into that fight. I mean, before he beat Pantoja, everyone loved him. This guy has single-handedly brought Spark back to the flyweight division. He's the most entertaining fighter by far in the flyweight division. Maybe one of, if not the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. And for people to switch up on him like that because he broke Pantoja's arm. By the way, same motherfuckers that will be like, oh, if Max didn't break Gaethje's nose. Well, he did, bro. Van broke Pantoja's arm. He threw him. And I can't wait for that rematch, brother. Because I think he wins the rematch, too. I think Van is better than Pantoja. And the day he knocks out Manel Kape is just going to be, oh, my God, it's just going to be so fucking great, brother. But, yes, here at Jared MMA, we are part of the Joshua Van army. And just you wait for the rematch. Because I'm going to be absolutely unsufferable about it. Or cry about it if Pantoja wins. I don't know, but that's the best thing about watching the UFC, And coming in at number 6, listen, this is when the list starts to get pretty concrete. And what I mean by that is an immovable object. Because number 7 through 10, I can kind of interchange those fighters. Like, I like probably all those fighters pretty evenly, but this is when the list starts to get pretty solid. And coming in at number 6, I got Carlos Prates. I mean, CP is one of the fighters that I watched before he was even ranked and knew immediately he was going to be a title contender, especially during the Li Jiang fight. knocking him out when nobody else that he fought seemingly could. Dude had like a rock hard iron chin, pause. But yeah, man, how could you not love Carlos Prates? I mean, just look at this list, bro. Look at these knockouts, dude. And I strongly believe that this guy is the best striker in welterweight history. And honestly, maybe even UFC history. I think it's pretty close between him and like Anderson Silva. But you just cannot stand on the feet with this guy. He will knock you out. The only one that seemed capable of even doing so was Ian Gary. And Ian Gary almost got finished in the 5th round. And if they fight again, I'm not sure because Carlos Prates looked so good after the Ian Gary fight, especially against Leon Edwards and JDM because, man, he just made those two champs look like they didn't even belong in the cage with him. On top of that, the dude's built like one of those bugs from Men in Black. You know what I'm talking about? He's all limbs. He's all limbs, man. And that's a hard style to match up against. When he's got a reach factor on almost every opponent, minus maybe Morales. I'm not 100% sure on that. He's big for the welterweight division. He looked way bigger than JDM. I know JDM's kind of like a smaller welterweight, but still. I don't want to talk too much about the Prates-JDM fight. I love Carlos Prates, but the reason for that is because coming in at number 5 is... I got JDM at number 5, man. And look, oh, man, it was like watching my fucking dog die, bro. It was like watching my dog die. Like watching the beatdown that Carlos Prates gave JDM. I just wanted them to have fun, you know, like maybe a 5-round decision, 2 of my favorite fighters. No, CP had to beat the absolute fucking brakes off JDM. And look, with that being said, I will not tolerate the JDM switch up. This dude lost to the greatest, on track to be the greatest of all time in our sport, Islam Makhachev, and the greatest striker the welterweight division has ever seen. JDM is still elite, and I'm not going to let anybody tell me otherwise. I've been seeing on Twitter, dude, Bonfim, Gabriel Bonfim, man, you know, he made work of Bilal Muhammad, you know, he makes work of JDM. The fuck he does, dude. The fuck he does. The minute JDM figures out the leg kick, it's fucking over for the welterweight division, brother. It's over. But in all seriousness, like I said, JDM is still elite. I think he's still one of the best boxers in the UFC. It's just those leg kicks, man. Those leg kicks eat him up, dude. And I think going into the next fight, he's really got to figure that out because, again, if he does fight Bonfim or someone else in the welterweight division that utilizes leg kicks and that calf kick, he's going to get fucking wrecked. But I believe in JDM. Moving on to number 4. He poked me in me fucking eyes, mate. Tom Aspinall. Look, man, it's been a rough year for some of Jared's favorite fighters. You know, or last year and a half, Joaquin Buckley, JDM, now Tommy. But Tom Aspinall is undoubtedly one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. Before yet another switch up from the MMA community, when Gon fucking gouges eyeballs out like that's his fault, he was sparking everybody out cold. And honestly looked like he had the potential to be one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. He's so fast, dude, for how big he is. So fast. And I wish the rest of the heavyweight division can be as quick and as fast as him and Gon because, God, it would be so much more entertaining to watch instead of just fucking fat guys rolling around for 5 minutes. No offense, Derek Lewis, but time to hang him up. But yeah, another fighter that I will die on a hill for is Tom Aspinall. Again, the switch up, MMA bias is just crazy, or recency bias is crazy. Because again, before the Gon fight, this dude was knocking everybody out. And people act like it was his fault that John Jones held up the division for over a year and completely ruined like a year of Tom Aspinall's prime just to fight, you know, Stipe, fucking old man at that point. And look, to touch on the Tom Cyril fight, people acting like, you know, Tom certainly lost that first round, but it goes to show how good he is, because the fact that he didn't knock Cyril Gane out in the first 10 seconds like he has with everybody else goes to, and immediately after it didn't happen, people were like, Gun won that round, man. Gun was winning that fight. He pieced it up. Aspinall was fucking him up, dude. No, he wasn't, man. I mean, he did win the first round, like I said, and I am coping a little bit, but we have no idea what would have happened if that fight played out. Yeah, Cyril beat him in the first round, you know. People are like, he busted him up. Yeah, dude, he got a fucking bloody nose, dude. They're fighting, obviously. You know, that happens. And I still think that Tom would have won that fight going into the later rounds. And I think his approach changes next fight. I think I'll have to make a video on that too, on that fight that's coming up eventually, hopefully. But I think that he has to change his approach, because I don't think that he can stand up and strike with Cyril Gane like he did in that first fight. And I think he needs to utilize his grappling. And that's why another reason I think he's such an elite fighter is his grappling game is super underrated. I mean, dude submitted Alexander Volkov with an armbar from side control. He's an elite grappler. Absolutely elite grappler. I think he needs to utilize that in the next Gane fight. And I hope he does, because if he loses to Gane, I might have to delete this channel. Moving on to number 3, the Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley. I mean, how could you not be a fan of this guy? In all seriousness, how couldn't you? I mean, I understand that, you know, sometimes people think he can be corny. I think he's funny as fuck all the time. He's been one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. And honestly, I think he's the best striker in the bantamweight division. I know some of you Jan Glazers are going to be sitting there,
Jan, he robbed him.
yeah, O'Malley, robbery. O'Malley won that first fight, bro, round 1 and 3. I don't care what you guys say. I think he's a better striker than Peter Yan. I think he's going to win the rematch. And look, I know recency bias is a thing. I know it was just Sahabi he knocked out on the White House card, but fuck that. It should have been Corey Sandhagen, dude. I mean, I'll never forgive the UFC for not making that fight. That fight would have been an absolute banger. And I still think Sean would have won that fight. But even if it was Corey Sandhagen, unfortunately, I don't think that fight's going to happen now. And when I do my future pick'ems for the main card of the McGregor Max card, I'm leaning towards Batista. I think Corey's at the down end of his career, and I don't think we're going to see that fight. But, I mean, who knows? We'll see. And when he knocked out Aljo and TD Garden, and I'm originally from Boston, too, so that was extra special for me. But when he knocked out Aljo, oh, my God, man. One of the greatest moments in my UFC watching history, for sure. And then the UFC repaid me by having Merab fucking blob him 2 times in a row and submit him because, you know, for some reason Merab gets a finish when he fights fucking Sean O'Malley. But, yeah, Sean O'Malley. Looking forward to the Peter Yan rematch. And coming in at number 2, if any of you saw my new updated banner, this might not be a surprise to you or a surprise that he's not at number 1. But I got Diego Lopez at number 2. Another fighter that I've been watching before he was even ranked, before he made that climb. I knew he was going to be an elite contender in the featherweight division. And once again, the switch up when fighters lose. Like, this guy lost to the greatest featherweight of all time. Of all time, he lost to. And people were acting like Steve Garcia was going to slump him on the fucking White House lawn. Seriously? Like, MMA Twitter is crazy sometimes, dude. And I'm glad I'm finally be able to talk about this, because the shit some people fucking say about Diego Lopez before this fight was made is absolutely crazy. And still, people don't believe in Diego Lopez. And like I said, I think he has a very, very solid chance to become champion after Volk retires or leaves. I think his best option would be moving up to lightweight. And we'll talk about some future matchups in the future. But yeah, man, Diego Lopez, I mean, it just dynamite in his hands. Entertaining. Every single fight he brings is an absolute banger. You know, even in the White House fight, he was getting kind of picked apart by Steve Garcia. I didn't think it was as bad as some people were making it out to be. Like, Garcia was smoking him the entire time. I don't believe that. But it's like something clicked in his brain. Like he was going in that fight. He's like, I'm gonna utilize my wrestling, and I'm gonna be patient. And then like halfway through the second round, he's like, man, fuck this, dude. I'm Diego Lopez. And then he just starts exchanging in the pocket like he always does, and fireworks, dude, knocks him out. So, Diego Lopez, one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. The dude already wants to fight in like a month or so from now. So that's absolutely crazy. He's always active. Fights at least, I would say, like 2 to 3 times a year. He's already fought twice this year, so... And I still think that he beats a majority of the featherweight contenders that are coming up. He's a gatekeeper for the division, which is why I think that, as I said, he should move up to lightweight. I think there's more possibilities for him there. While there's no proof of it, as I said before, I picked him to beat Gene Silva. I picked him to beat Steve Garcia. So I'm never doubting his capabilities, and I think that he, like I said, he beats a lot of these featherweight prospects. But there's one that he doesn't beat. And that is our number one. Coming in at number one, we are Kevin Vallejos. I'm planting the Jared MMA community flag on top of Vallejos Mountain. This is our fighter. We are Kevin Vallejos. And it's kind of frustrating, man, because I know a lot of other YouTubers, MMA YouTubers, they talk about Vallejos positively, obviously. But I just feel like he's not talked about enough. I think this dude is going to absolutely steamroll the featherweight division. I think he's going to be champion. And don't worry, Kevin, because finally there's a community that's back behind you, okay? Because I will not stop talking about Kevin Vallejos. I mean, the guy really is Ilia Topuria 2.0, and in some aspects, I think Ilia has a better ground game than Vallejos because we haven't really seen too much of Vallejos' ground game, which is probably my only concerning thought when I look at the matchmaking for the featherweight division. I don't know how he figures against, Mosvar, or I think he knocks out Aljo, but some of these other elite grapplers, I really want to see him go up against. And like I said, I think there's some areas he's even different than Ilia Topuria. Like, I don't see Ilia Topuria hitting a fucking spinning elbow against Giga, okay? Like this. And, Ilia did dominate Josh Emmett, but he didn't dominate him like we did, like Kevin did. Now let's talk about Josh Emmett for a second, because this poor old man, right? He gets Lerone Murphy, unanimous decision, close fight, and then he gets subbed by Zalal. And, probably in his head, he's like, all right, I got to get back on track with the win, and what can the UFC do for me? And the UFC is like, yeah, buddy, we got you.
Here's 24-year-old prime Kevin Vallejos.
So, yeah, that sucks for Josh Emmett, but, sorry, buddy, you're just part of the process. You're one of our Infinity Stones. So, and like I said, a lot of people will say, well, he lost to Gene in the Dana White Contender Series. Bro, he was 21 years old. And gave Gene the hardest fight, minus Diego Lopez, who beat him in the UFC. He gave him his hardest fight that he's had. And I think he wins the rematch. I think he's more well-rounded now than he was when he was 21. And dude, his hands are just so slick, man. So slick. Probably one of the best strikers in the featherweight division. We'll see how he matches up against some other future opponents. But, yeah, Kevin Vallejos at number one, man. We are Kevin Vallejos. And that concludes our top 10 video. If you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. Help our community grow. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are my favorite fighters your favorite fighters? Do you hate some of my favorite fighters? Let me know. Adios. Thank you. Peace.